I'm Marie Stevens, I'm 29 years old and I'm an occupational therapist. That involves assisting people with a disability getting back to doing occupations that they choose. So that might involve being able to get a meal, getting back to work, basically doing all the things that you and I do each day that someone maybe with a disability might have a problem with. We want to try and get people being as independent as possible with their day-to-day activities. I work in a rehabilitation hospital. I predominantly work with people that have had strokes or a brain tumour or some sort of neurological condition like multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's disease. The first thing that we do when a patient comes in is we interview them and we talk to them about how they've been functioning before this illness or disability occurred and basically talk through with them the kind of things that they want to work towards. I might do some exercises to look at just general strengthening and range of movement. So if the person is only newly being able to open their hand after a severe stroke, let's put that hand into use. So can they pick up the cup? Can they pour a jug of water? Can they do up their buttons on their shirt? Can they brush their hair? And if they can't manage, let's say they've got really bad arthritis in their hand, we might look at an adapted piece of equipment so that then they can use it to feed themselves. And I also do the driver assessment, a rehabilitation program here. So what that involves is assessing people with different types of medical conditions.
That could work.
And looking at their ability to drive. And if they need any modifications to the vehicle or learning new techniques, we would then put in a program to enable them to do that. Occupational therapists can work with all ages. So you might work in paediatrics where you would be doing visits to schools and assessing children in their school environment. You might be working in the community where you visit people in their homes. You might work for an insurance company assisting people that have had work-related injuries in getting back to doing the requirements of their job. So there's a whole range of areas that you can work in. They send groups of occupational therapists off to India to work with communities there, teaching communities with people with disabilities to manage. There's a lot of therapists who go into the mine areas in Australia, making sure that if they've had an injury that it's not going to happen again. So you can really translate the skills learnt at university into any occupational therapy profession. So it keeps it really interesting. When I left school, I originally studied hotel management and I worked in hospitality and tourism for a number of years, and I just didn't feel that I was really personally getting any satisfaction out of it. And then I had a few family members who were getting sick and spending a lot of time in hospital, and I started to rethink about what I wanted to do. And then I spoke to a few occupational therapists who worked in a whole range of different areas, and it seemed like a really versatile thing to do, and that's how I got involved. I studied a Bachelor of Applied Science in Occupational Therapy at the University of Sydney. Occupational therapy tends to be a very female-dominant industry. So, you know, a lot of people start full-time and might have a family and end up going back to part-time work. So there is quite a demand for occupational therapy, and it's quite common for people to go work overseas for a number of years. So there's a very good program in working in the UK and also Canada and many other countries. Plus, given the fact that the population is ageing, that means that there's a need for more services in hospitals. There doesn't seem to be a foreseeable shortage of jobs for occupational therapists. I'd advise anyone that's interested in this career to do some sort of work experience in an industry where you're working with people with disabilities or who have been unwell certainly helps, because for a lot of people it can be initially confronting, and if you go through all the 4-year degree you don't want to sort of get to the end of that and realise that it's all a little bit too much. I love this job. I really enjoy the relationship that I get to build up with my patients and sort of seeing them come from a place where maybe they're unsure whether or not they are going to be able to manage at home, and to someone that is dealing with huge changes in their life, and to be able to get them to the point where they're going home and they're going to be safe and happy and manage all those things is fantastic and really rewarding. So I love it.